Greetings and welcome back to room 303 in our Talks with Walt, as we are calling our readings through the deathbed edition of Walt Whitman's Leaves of Grass. We turn now to the second of two poems that are paired together in Stanza 70, not Meagre, Latent Boughs alone. This is poem 51 of the 58 of Stanza 70, so clearly we're coming to the end. And you'll remember in our previous discussion that we were talking about the power and the symbolism of the tree, because this poem is going to be nicely paired with the poem that precedes it in the deathbed edition, You Lingering Sparse Leaves of Me. Now our assumptions are that you've been following our stuff at learnstrong.net, down that left-hand side Talks with Walt, our playlist, and then you were there from the very beginning up through and including a set of introductory comments to Stanza 70 and of course Sparse Leaves, which I'm hopeful that you have seen. If you're studying this poem and have not studied the Sparse Leaves poem, I recommend that you go do that first to come back to this poem. Now our Nortons will inform us about this poem, like we said of the other one, that it was first published in Lippincott's magazine of November 1887. So with that in mind now, let's just turn to this one. You'll remember that meagre is a word that was used in Crossing Brooklyn Ferry 6. Latent was used into the old cause at the very beginning of Leaves of Grass. Boughs, of course, will take us back to the previous poem's first line. And of course, alone, well, you'll remember this, the very first time this word gets used is in the very first poem of Leaves of Grass, One Self I Sing. I think in some very interesting ways in 1888, we're already coming back to the very beginning poems of the deathbed edition of Leaves of Grass. Not meagre, latent boughs alone. Oh, songs, which obviously now tells us that we're back now to the poems of Leaves of Grass. And then in parenthetics, scaly and bare like eagle's talons. It is interesting. This is a to-be observation. It is interesting how little Whitman uses the simile in Leaves of Grass. Have you noticed this? Notice, for example, here, he's going to compare his poems to at times like barren branches, and those barren branches are like eagle's talons. And of course that takes us back to dahlias of eagles, no question. But happily, in other words, here's the relief part, for some sunny day, you'll remember sunny in Song of the Redwood Tree too, sunny day, and then of course, who knows, 10 times in Leaves of Grass, that kind of almost ironic use of who knows is used. Some future spring, some summer, bursting forth. Remember with bursting, rise, O days, from your fathomless deeps, part number 3, right? Using this bursting imagery, bursting forth to verdant leaves. Verdant gets used one time in Leaves of Grass, and it's right here. Leaves or sheltering shade. We're familiar, of course, with this word picture of the shade of the tree. Go back to his idea about the huge, beautiful trees in a song of the open road. To nourishing fruit. In other words, the idea of growth. And this is such a ubiquitous, I would say, motif in all Leaves of Grass. This idea that there's dynamism, there's growth, the fruit that's coming, apples and grapes. And of course, the use of apple makes us immediately think of Milton in Paradise Lost, no question. The stalwart limbs of trees. Notice all these adjectives that are about strong now all of a sudden. Stalwart limbs of trees emerging. You'll remember with Shut Not Your Doors, this use of the word emerging. The fresh, free, open air. Now we're back, of course, to Song of the Open Road. I think there's a lot of open road here in this poem. And love and faith, like scented roses blooming. You'll remember scented is used in Song of Myself 6. And you'll remember blooming in Lilacs Last in the Dooryard, bloom number 1. So he's reaching back with echoes to a number of previous poems. Well, what is the argument that he's making here? Well, of course, it is Shelley's Ode to the West Wind, if winter come, can spring be far behind. The anticipation that the project that is Leaves of Grass will finally bloom. That's his goal. And of course, the 2A artists have to believe that someday the blooming will happen. That is, of course, the whole idea of hope. And all artists have to play that game. Think about Emily Dickinson, This Is My Letter to the World That Never Wrote to Me. What does she say? Judge tenderly of me? I think there's some of that going on here as well. And 2B, of course, the symbolism of the tree is powerful. We just mentioned at 3A that You Lingering Sparse Leaves of Me has to be read in concordance with this. And then finally at 3B, how about this one? What was a time when an artistic project for you that you kind of doubted and doubted yourself finally came to its blooming fruition. And to what degree was that a source of tremendous, can we say, sunny joy? Thank you.